presented by the Verizon. These are as our insider access segment presented by Verizon. New customers can get up to $800 in prepaid MasterCard to pay off your current smartphone loan when you switch. What's up, Zach? How's it going, man?
Heartbreak. Oh, just heartbreaking, gutted, emotionally drained. What other words could we use for that performance and how that game went, guys? It seemed like the Broncos had it won, seemed like they had it lost, seemed like they didn't show up, seemed like they were going for the clinch in this game, and in the end, they come up short. And I gotta say, just a whirlwind of emotions during the game. That's kind of how after the game was as well. Sean Payton kept it kind of cheery. He was optimistic after the game. He walks in, says, look, I'm going to start off by defending my decision not to go for 2 points. We'll get into that in a second. And then he talks about how proud he is of this team. It looked like it wasn't a good start, but they came and fought. Then in the overtime they fought, and they kept fighting until the final second of the game when the Bengals won. But then in the Broncos locker room, kind of a different tone. The Broncos are down, but they're not out. But guys, I would be remiss if I didn't say they are very, very down in the locker room. Some guys just sitting at their lockers, still trying to process what was going on. Other guys just seemingly very down, and very understandable after that type of game. And guys, my takeaway from this game is it seemed like the first half of this game, the Broncos said, we get to play a Kansas City Chiefs team next week that's likely going to be playing their backups. We'll just win, get the playoffs at home next week. And then at halftime, they realize, oh my God, we're not playing very well, and we're still in this game. We got a chance. So they come out, the defense starts getting stops, not punts, but they start getting stops. They get a forced fumble, which was huge from Pat Surtain, really making his case for Defensive Player of the Year. The offense wakes up. The Broncos had 106 yards of offense in the first half. Then Bo Nix wakes up, finishes with 3 touchdown passes. And then Joe Burrow also wakes up, and obviously the Broncos weren't able to stop Joe Burrow. Broncos weren't able to slow down T. Higgins one bit.
Zach, we've been having a discussion. We know that everybody could have played better, but ultimately I think Noshan and I feel like we needed more from the offense, and Hayden feels like we needed a little bit more from the defense. Being live in person, what do you feel like you saw, and who do you feel like needed to step up just a little bit more for the Broncos to win this game?
Everyone, no one came to win this game. The Broncos deserve to lose this game in all phases. I guess maybe not special teams. That doink should have won it for them right there. But if I have to put it on one side, I guess I go the defense. They gave up 499 yards. You have no business winning games in the NFL, giving up 499 yards. And the most damning stat of all was the Broncos didn't force a punt until overtime. Now, they did get some stops, some very key stops. This game would have been out of hand if they didn't get some stops within the 22-yard line. The Bengals went into the 22-yard line 3 different times to start the game on the first 3 drives. Broncos able to come up with some big stops there, but the defense couldn't get off the field, and then the offense really didn't allow the defense to catch their breath. This was a game that the Broncos had no business winning at all, and it came down to a doink at the end for the Broncos to have a chance. So they were lucky to be in this game. And again, it kind of felt like, man, they knew that they were playing a Chiefs team, likely playing their backups next week. And it was very disappointing the way this team came out. Now, you do give the defense credit for getting those stops, but then you give the offense credit for waking up in the second half. And boy, how about that heave at the end to Marvin Mims? That gave everyone hope right there. And that's what it seemed like the Broncos were going to win the game. And the decision to not go for 2 points, 14 seconds left, Broncos just almost tied the game up. A field goal kicks it. You see Bo Nix saying, let's go for 2. And Sean Payton said, we're not going for 2. We're kicking the extra point. He said the decision to do that was because of 2 things. The tie did come into play at that point. Sean Payton admitted that. He said, we knew a tie was good for us. So that was one part of it. And the other part was he said, we thought we had the momentum going into overtime there because of that 31-yard crazy pass. And, of course, the drive that went almost 90 yards in a minute and a half there. He says it was the right call in the moment, and it's still the right call. So Sean Payton says, don't question me. I made the right decision, even though it turned out in a loss here. And what I'll say is Sean Payton was thinking tie. I don't know exactly when, if it was before the game, if it was all game, if it was during that decision. But in overtime, what didn't add up was it didn't feel like Sean Payton was playing for the tie there on that very last drive the Broncos had. You run the ball, you get 3 yards, then you throw it twice, incompletions, you're kicking it back to them, and they have plenty of time to go and then get the win there. So things just didn't fully add up. But that's why he didn't go for 2 at the end, was because he was playing for a tie, because he knew a tie got the Broncos a clinch playoff spot. And one more thing on top of all of this, Sean Payton has told us all week, this is about getting the 10th win, because the 10th win means a playoff spot for the Broncos. Well, you weren't playing for the 10th win if you're going for the tie. Now, I'm not saying that I disagree with that necessarily, but some things just didn't add up here in this game, guys.
Yeah, if that's the case, that was really stupid. Because if you know how many ties there have been in the NFL the past 2 years?
2.
0. Games don't end in ties. Even if they go to overtime, they don't become ties. So you can't go into that 2-point conversion saying, well, it could tie, because it can't tie. It never ties. So I hate that. What do you think of how Bo played?
I think he started off very slow, and I think the key pass was that 50-yard touchdown bomb to Marvin Mims. It was a great pass. It was a great catch by Marvin, especially in the back of the end zone. I don't think people realize how difficult that is to haul in a pass in the back of the end zone and then have to get both feet in when the ball's coming 50 yards downfield. That was the turning point for the offense in the game. That opened Bo Nix up a little more, and I thought he was good. Obviously, the end of the first half wasn't good. Took a couple of sacks, but I don't think that was the difference in the game there. The Broncos' inability to do anything on offense in overtime was very frustrating, and also you can include the first half there, but he did enough in the second half to keep him in there. You score 24 points, it gives you a shot in games, just like the Broncos. The defense held a great offense to 24 points in regulation. That gives you a shot in the game, but it really felt like this game, guys, it should have been like 41-17 or something, the way the first half played out. So give Broncos credit for resiliency, but where were you in the first half?
Yeah, for sure. Man, I really don't have anything for you, Zach. I mean, Riley Moss was back, man. It was good to get him back. Did it seem like he was a little bit rusty from your standpoint out there on the field? I mean, he made some good plays, but I don't know if he's back 100% or even 80% yet, or is he? Is he good? Is he back?
Yeah, Riley Moss is a damn good football player, and he's a damn good football player, but guys, he had a very tough day today. And after the game, Sean Payton said, we expected this. Not necessarily a bad game, but we expected him to be picked on. And boy, was he picked on time and time again. And Jamar Chase did end up with a good game, but it was T. Higgins that absolutely went off. And you're right, that's where Joe Burrow identified, I'm going to find the guy who's not on pat, and I'm going to throw to his way time and time again. After the game, Riley Moss said, sometimes you eat a stink sandwich and you got to learn from it and move on. That's what I did today. He said, I usually make those plays. I didn't make those plays, and I need to make them. And then right after we talked to Riley, I love what Pat Surtain said. He said, Riley's used to making those plays, and bookmark it. He is going to make a play next week. You can take my word on it. So I love that confidence in Pat. And I still believe in Riley Moss. He did have a really tough game. He went against probably the league's MVP if this Bengals team somehow makes the playoffs, which obviously Broncos Country doesn't hope. And he got really torched today, but I still believe he's going to be able to bounce back and maybe deliver a stink sandwich next week in what's going to be just a crucial game for the Broncos. And guys, before I'm out of here, Zach Allen had a monster game, almost I think 4 sacks, maybe 3.5 official sacks, and he was asked after the game, does this loss change your perspective and give it more pressure? And he said nope for next week. So this Broncos team, they are down, but again, they are not out, and they should be lucky. I think they're going to be playing a backup Chiefs team. But guys, the Broncos are clenching to clinch now next week. They had 3 games to win 1. Now it's down for 1 to win 1. And it's not the style the Broncos were hoping. Of course, just a couple days ago, Bo Nix said, we're going to win 3, go into the playoffs and win the Super Bowl. Okay, let's take a step back here, Bo. Let's win 1, get into the playoffs, go to Buffalo, and see what happens from there.
Zach, last one for you. It's a big one, so I need an answer. Is this Chiefs game now a must win?
Of course it is. Of course it is, Todd. Must win game for the Broncos, and thank goodness, they're going to be playing Carson Wentz. Chris Jones is going to be sitting on the bench. Might as well keep Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City. You don't want to risk any injury on a plane, so keep them at home. Don't even bring those guys. And I know it's not how you want to get in the playoffs. You don't want to stumble into the playoffs. You don't want to have to play backups to get in the playoffs. But you know what? The Broncos afforded themselves this opportunity by being 9-5, only needing one win in the final 3 games, and they're making it a little closer. Maybe they're trying to sell out in power next week as well. So I think the Broncos do get it done next week. But boy, this is it's a little tighter than people wanted. Some cheeks are a little tighter this week in Broncos country, and the Broncos have to bring their A game next week because man, you lose that, we're talking about a historic tumble down the season. So it's going to be interesting, but Broncos likely going to play next Sunday. The Broncos game isn't set, but with this loss, it's likely that this game will be Sunday and not Saturday.
All right, Zach. Well, I'm hopeful that they win, but I know the AFC West, they're always close games. The Raiders played us tough. I think that's similar to playing the Chiefs backups. The Chiefs backups will probably be the Raiders starters, but we'll see how this game goes. We have a lot to talk about. I'll see you on Monday, 11 a.m.
All right, see you, fellas. Great to talk to you.